Hey, watch it, old man. Can't you even hold a cup? What a mess. The young barista's voice was sharp, cutting through the morning hum of the busy coffee shop. The hot coffee splashed across the counter, a dark stain spreading rapidly. Some of it hit the old man's worn jacket. If you believe our elders deserve kindness, not scorn, type respect in the comments below. Arthur, the old man, flinched. His hand, which had been reaching for his wallet with a slight tremor, now hung in the air. He looked down at the spilled coffee, then at the angry face of the barista, a young man barely out of his teens, with a name tag that read Kevin. I'm sorry, Arthur stammered, his voice quiet. My hand, it's not always steady. Kevin rolled his eyes, grabbing a dirty rag. Yeah, whatever. Now look what you've done. That's coming out of your pocket, you know. Or maybe you can't afford another one? He sneered, looking Arthur up and down. Arthur wore simple, clean clothes, but they were old. His shoes were scuffed. He didn't look like he had much money. Arthur felt a flush of heat rise to his cheeks. It wasn't about the money for the coffee. It was the way Kevin spoke to him, the open disrespect. He was just trying to get a warm drink on a chilly morning, waiting to meet someone special. He had served his country for over 30 years. He had faced dangers most people couldn't imagine. He had commanded men and women, made life and death decisions. But here, in this coffee shop, he was just an old man making a mess. He carried a small, worn photograph in his wallet. It was of him, much younger, standing proudly in uniform next to his wife. Sometimes he looked at it to remember who he was, especially when the world seemed to forget. I can pay for it, Arthur said, his voice still gentle, but with a hint of firmness now. He reached for his wallet again. You sure about that, Grandpa? Kevin mocked, wiping the counter with aggressive strokes. Or are you going to drop your wallet too? Other customers were starting to stare. Some looked uncomfortable. Others just looked curious. No one said anything. Arthur tried to stay calm. He had learned patience in situations far more stressful than this. Young man, he began, there's no need to be rude. Rude? Kevin laughed, a short, ugly sound. I'm not the one spilling coffee everywhere like a baby. Maybe places like this are too fancy for your kind. Your kind. Those words hit Arthur harder than the spilled coffee. He felt a familiar ache in his chest, a weariness. He had hoped that by now, people would see beyond appearances. He thought about just walking away. Why endure this? But he was supposed to meet his son here. His son, Michael, who was always so proud of him. He didn't want Michael to walk in and see him being treated this way, or worse, see him slink away defeated. Arthur remembered something. A promise, a network. He had a phone, he had numbers. One number in particular was for his son, who was stationed nearby. He took a slow breath. He wouldn't argue. He wouldn't cause a scene. He would simply make a call. I need to use my phone, Arthur said quietly, pulling out an older model cell phone. Kevin scoffed. Calling for backup, old-timer? What are you gonna do, call your bingo buddies? Arthur ignored him. His fingers, though a little shaky, found the number he knew so well. He pressed call. The phone rang twice. Dad, you okay? I'm just leaving the base now, a strong, clear voice answered. Michael, Arthur said, his voice steady. I'm at the coffee shop, the Daily Grind on Elm Street. There's been a small incident. Could you come? I think it might be better if you were here. He kept his explanation simple. No anger, just facts. An incident? What happened? Are you hurt? Michael's voice was instantly alert, concern lacing his tone. No, son, I'm not hurt. Just a bit of misunderstanding with the staff here. I'm on my way. 5 minutes. Don't go anywhere, Dad. The line clicked off. 5 minutes. Arthur stood patiently by the counter, ignoring Kevin, who was now serving another customer with exaggerated politeness, occasionally shooting nasty looks Arthur's way. The spilled coffee was still a damp patch on the floor near his feet. Arthur felt the eyes of the other patrons. He wondered what they thought. Did they see an old man causing trouble, or did they see something else? If you've ever been judged unfairly based on how you look, type I understand in the comments. We want to hear from you. The minutes ticked by. 1, 2, 3. Kevin smirked at Arthur. Your imaginary friends not showing up? 4. Arthur remained silent, his gaze fixed on the entrance. Then, exactly 5 minutes after the call, the bell above the coffee shop door jingled. A young man stepped inside. He was tall and straight, his shoulders broad. He wore the crisp, immaculate white uniform of a United States Navy lieutenant. His shoes shone. His cover was tucked neatly under his arm. Authority and quiet confidence radiated from him. Lieutenant Michael Harris. He scanned the shop quickly, his eyes finding his father immediately. He saw the spilled coffee on the floor. He saw the set look on his father's face. Then his gaze fell on Kevin, who was now staring, mouth slightly open, at the uniform. Kevin's smirk vanished. His face went pale. He suddenly looked very young and very scared. Michael walked directly to his father, his steps measured and purposeful. He placed a comforting hand on Arthur's shoulder. "Dad, are you all right?" he asked, his voice calm but firm, loud enough for those nearby to hear. "I'm fine, Michael," Arthur said, a small smile touching his lips. He was always so proud of his son. Michael then turned his attention to the counter, his eyes, a steely blue, fixed on Kevin. "What happened here?" Kevin swallowed hard. Nothing, sir. Just a small spill. An accident." His voice was now a squeak. Just then, a man in a manager's polo shirt hurried over from the back office, looking flustered. "Is there a problem here? I heard some commotion." Michael addressed the manager, his tone polite but unyielding. "My father, Arthur Harris, came in for a coffee. It appears there was an issue. This young man," he gestured towards Kevin, "was quite rude to him, and then, I believe, deliberately knocked his coffee from his hand after my father's hand trembled." The manager looked from Michael's imposing uniform to Arthur's dignified, patient face, then to Kevin, who was now avoiding everyone's eyes, his face a blotchy red. "My father is a veteran," Michael continued, his voice resonating with quiet power. "He served this country for over 30 years. He has earned respect, not ridicule, especially for something as simple as a hand that isn't as steady as it once was." The manager's eyes widened. He looked at Arthur with new understanding. "Sir, I had no idea. Kevin, is this true?" Kevin mumbled something incoherent, staring at his shoes. "Is it true you insulted this gentleman? That you knocked his coffee over deliberately?" the manager pressed, his voice sharp with disbelief and growing anger. Arthur spoke then, softly. "He called me old man, said I couldn't afford the coffee, and that my kind wasn't welcome. The coffee? It was an accident, I think, but he was very angry and rough when he grabbed for the cup I was trying to pay for." The manager looked horrified. "Mr. Harris, I am so deeply sorry. There is absolutely no excuse for this kind of behavior from my staff. None at all." He turned to Kevin, his face like thunder. "Kevin, you are fired, effective immediately. Hand over your apron and badge. I will not tolerate such disgusting disrespect in my establishment, especially towards someone who has served our nation." Kevin's jaw dropped. "Fired? But it was just a coffee." "It was not just a coffee," the manager snapped. "It was about dignity. It was about respect. Something you clearly know nothing about. Now, go." Kevin, looking stunned and ashamed, slowly took off his apron and badge, laid them on the counter, and scurried out of the shop without another word, not meeting anyone's eyes. The other customers watched in silence, some nodding in approval. The manager turned back to Arthur and Michael, his expression one of sincere apology. "Mr. Harris, Lieutenant Harris, please, allow me to offer you both coffees on the house. In fact, Mr. Harris, coffee here is on the house for you for life. It's the very least I can do." He personally cleaned up the spilled coffee and then hurried to make them fresh drinks. "We will be having a mandatory staff meeting about customer respect and honoring our veterans this afternoon." The manager assured them, "This will not happen again. I give you my word." Arthur finally smiled, a genuine, warm smile. "Thank you. That's very kind of you." He wasn't after free coffee, or even for Kevin to be fired. He just wanted decency. Michael put his arm around his father's shoulders. "Thank you, manager. We appreciate you making this right." They sat at a small table, father and son, sipping their coffees. The other patrons gave Arthur respectful nods. Some even came over to quietly thank him for his service. It was a small gesture, but it meant the world. The story of the disrespectful barista and the quiet veteran whose Navy lieutenant's son came to his aid spread through the small community. The coffee shop, under its contrite manager, did indeed implement new training. They even put up a small sign offering a discount to veterans and active service members. Arthur didn't talk much about the incident afterwards. He wasn't one to hold grudges. He was just glad that, in the end, fairness had prevailed. He was proud of Michael, not just for his uniform, but for his character. He continued to meet his son for coffee, and he was always treated with the utmost respect. This story reminds us that heroes don't always wear capes. Sometimes they are quiet older men who have lived lives of courage. And sometimes their children wear the uniforms that remind us all of the sacrifices made. What do you think is the most important lesson from this story? Share your thoughts in the comments. Remember, respect costs nothing, but it means everything. Don't judge a book by its cover, because you never know the incredible story hidden inside. If you believe in standing up for what's right and treating everyone with dignity, please subscribe to our channel for more stories that uplift and inspire. Let's make the world a little kinder, one story at a time.